Hello everyone, today's we are talking about Canada Immigration Number 4 breaking news. Welcome to the latest immigration update from the Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC. In this edition, we'll be covering the recent announcement regarding the Parents and Grandparents Program for 2023. Additionally, we'll provide you with insights into the latest Canada Provincial Nominee Program, PNP, developments in our weekly roundup for September 8, 2023. Stay tuned to stay informed about key immigration developments in Canada. IRCC announces update to Parents and Grandparents Program 2023. Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, has just announced an update to the Parents and Grandparents Program, PGP. IRCC will accept up to 15,000 complete applications for sponsorship under the PGP this year. On October 10, IRCC will begin sending invitations to apply to 24,200 interested potential sponsors, aiming to receive up to the 15,000 complete applications. Due to the number of forms remaining in the pool of submissions from 2020, invitations to apply will be sent to randomly selected potential sponsors from that pool instead of opening a new interest to sponsor form. If you submitted an interest to sponsor form in 2020, but did not receive an invitation to apply in 2021 or 2022, you are encouraged to check the email account you provided in 2020 when you submitted your interest to sponsor form. If you are invited to apply as part of the 2023 intake, IRCC will continue to use the Permanent Residence Portal or the Representative Permanent Residence Portal, which allow applications to be submitted electronically. Immigration Levels Plan. In 2022, IRC invited 23,100 potential sponsors to apply to sponsor their parents and grandparents with the goal of receiving 15,000 complete applications every year. IRCC releases its Immigration Levels Plan, which it uses to guide its operations and set out its goals for welcoming newcomers to Canada. In 2023, Canada's newcomer target is 465,000 new permanent residents. Canada's goal is to welcome 28,500 parents and grandparents in 2023. By 2025, Canada's newcomer target is 500,000, and 36,000 parents and grandparents. The Super Visa. The Super Visa is a popular option for Canadian citizens and permanent residents who want to bring their foreign parents and grandparents to Canada. It is a temporary visa that allows parents and grandparents to visit their family for up to 5 consecutive years without having to renew their visitor status. Super Visa holders can enter Canada multiple times for up to 10 years. Those who already have a Super Visa may be able to apply for an extension that allows them to stay in Canada for up to 7 years as a visitor. There is no lottery for the Super Visa and it is offered all year, so it is a great option for those looking for more certainty when sponsoring their parent or grandparent. In order to be eligible for the Super Visa, an applicant must 1. Be a parent or grandparent of a Canadian citizen or permanent resident. 2. Not be inadmissible to Canada on the basis of criminality or health. 3. Prove that they can meet the income requirements identified by the Low-Income Cut-Off, LICO. 4. Provide a signed letter from their child or grandchild inviting them to Canada, and includes a promise of financial support for the length of the visit and the list and number of people in the household of this person. 5. Provide proof of medical insurance coverage for at least 1 year with a Canadian Insurance Comp. Canada PNP Weekly Roundup September 8, 2023. Provincial Nominee Programs, PNPs, play a crucial role in Canada's immigration system by allowing each province or territory to select individuals who can contribute to their communities. In this overview, we will provide insights into the outcomes of the Provincial Nominee Program, PNP, draws for the first week of September 2023. What are Provincial Nominee Programs, PNP? Provincial nominee programs empower Canadian provinces to establish their specific criteria for various immigration pathways. With the exception of Quebec and Nunavut, each province in Canada operates distinct nominee programs tailored to their unique needs. These programs often target international graduates, entrepreneurs, and individuals with sought-after professional experiences. The selection criteria can vary depending on factors such as labor market demands and demographic gaps within the province. For instance, Ontario's French-speaking skilled worker stream aims to attract skilled workers proficient in French to bolster the francophone population. Immigration through provincial nominee programs contributes significantly to Canada's overall economic immigration numbers. In 2022, out of 250,000 economic immigrants targeted, approximately 83,500 spots were reserved for applicants applying through the provincial nominee program. How do provincial nominee programs operate? Numerous provincial nominee programs, PNPs, conduct draws where they invite candidates to apply for Canadian permanent residence nomination. Some PNPs require candidates to submit an expression of interest, EOI, profile to be eligible for these draws. This week's Provincial Nominee Program, PNP, draws. The British Columbia Provincial Nominee Program, a provincial nominee program, PNP, is a collection of immigration pathways enabling foreign nationals to become Canadian permanent residents in British Columbia. The PNP is strategically designed to attract immigrants in areas which will benefit the province, skilled workers, workers in sectors with labor shortages, entrepreneurs, and investors. The province operates several immigration streams divided into two categories. British Columbia Skills Immigration. British Columbia Entrepreneur Immigration. Latest draws for skills immigration invitations in British Columbia. The top Canadian immigration developments to expect for the rest of 2023. Fall and the lead-up to the Christmas holiday period are typically busy seasons for developments from Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, and Canada's immigration system in general. While there are a lot of moving parts to Canada's immigration system, there are several key developments to watch for as the year comes to a close. These include potential changes in Canada's immigration policy priorities and permanent residence levels, and updates to the parents and grandparents, international student and work permit programs. New ministerial mandate letter. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau may issue a new ministerial mandate letter in the coming months. Mandate letters act as instructions to ministers from the Prime Minister on the government's objectives for their term. In other words, the letter to Canada's immigration minister shapes the country's immigration policy and will help determine how IRCC acts moving forward. The Prime Minister may choose to issue new mandate letters following a cabinet shuffle, such as the one that occurred this summer when Mark Miller became Canada's new immigration minister, but there is no obligation for the Prime Minister to issue a letter at all, and Minister Miller may simply pick up where Sean Fraser, the previous minister, left off. The last mandate letter requested that the minister continue to welcome newcomers under the Immigration Levels Plan to help reunite family and strengthen Canada's economic growth and recovery post-pandemic. Immigration Levels Plan 2024-2026. In non-election years, IRCC is legally required to release its Immigration Levels Plan by November 1 st. The plan outlines the targets for the number of permanent resident admissions and further breaks it down to the class of immigration, economic, family or refugee, and humanitarian, and then the program. For example, the 2023 to 2025 plan shows that by the end of 2025, Canada will admit 500,000 new permanent residents per year, of which 301,250 will be economic class, and of those, 114,000 will be express entry candidates. It is not known if IRCC will decrease, increase, or maintain the targets when it releases the 2024 to 2026 levels plan this year. Immigration Minister Mark Miller has said that he doesn't see the targets decreasing. "I don't see a world in which we lower immigration targets. The need is too great. Whether we revise them upwards or not is something that I have to look at, but certainly, I don't think we will lower them," said Miller. Office of the Auditor General report on processing immigration applications. The Office of the Auditor General, OAG, is charged with reviewing the internal workings of Canada's government and finding areas that require improvement, as well as identifying successes. It is expected that by the end of the year the OAG will release an audit to determine if IRCC has processed permanent resident applications as promptly and efficiently as possible to ensure that the department is meeting its objectives to support Canada's economy, reunite families, and assist humanitarian class applicants. Express Entry. Express Entry has undergone some major changes this year. In May, IRCC introduced 6 new categories for category-based selection draws. In these draws, a specific candidate attribute is the key consideration instead of a high comprehensive ranking system, CRS, score. One category is for strong French language abilities and the remaining 5 target those with work experience in one of these sectors: A. Healthcare, B. Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM, professions, C. Trades, such as carpenters, plumbers, and contractors, D. Transport, E. Agriculture and agri-food. According to a recent report by the Globe and Mail, IRCC is planning to put a heavy emphasis on candidates with STEM work experience. It said between 28% and 31% of invitations that are issued through Express Entry this year are expected to go to people with experience in STEM professions, like software developers and data scientists. Still, all program draws, which include candidates from the Canadian Experience Class, the Federal Skilled Trades Program, and the Federal Skilled Worker Program, have made up the majority of invitations to apply, EDAs over the summer, with no indication this will change. Parents and Grandparents Program, PG. IRCC invites the parents and grandparents of Canadian citizens and permanent residents to apply for family class sponsorship annually. In recent years, IRCC has announced details of the Parents and Grandparents program in the fall. In 2022, sponsors were only chosen to apply if they were selected through a lottery. IRCC only considered sponsors who had applied between October 13, 2020, and November 3, 2020, to help clear a large backlog of applications that accumulated throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2022, IRCC invited 23,100 PG participants. The current immigration levels plan shows a target of 28,500 new permanent resident admissions through the PG for 2023, rising to 36,000 by the end of 2025. It is not yet known what process IRCC will use for the PGP2023. International students. Minister Miller says that Canada is on track to welcome 900,000 international students this year. To help support them, IRCC and Global Affairs Canada are currently conducting a review of Canada's International Student Program, ISP. As the year progresses, more details can be expected regarding the Trusted Institutions Framework, a proposed 2-tier model for study permit issuance to strengthen the integrity of the ISP. According to reports by ICEF, designated learning institutions, DLIs, that meet the IRCC criteria for a trusted institution could benefit from faster study permit processing for international students who are admitted. More details on the framework should become known in the fall. There will likely also be details regarding other IRCC measures to strengthen integrity for the International Student Program. Further, on December 31, the IRCC policy to allow certain students to work full-time, with no cap on the number of hours worked, is set to expire. IRCC has said it will re-evaluate the policy and decide on the next steps. Tech Talent Strategy. On June 27, IRCC announced a new tech talent strategy to attract more newcomers in tech occupations. IRCC says it will be launching an innovation stream under the International Mobility Program this year to help Canada's employers hire foreign workers without a Labour Market Impact Assessment, LMIA. Under the innovation stream, IRCC will issue employer-specific work permits for up to 5 years to workers who have job offers at a company identified by the government as a contributor to Canada's economic goals. It is unique in that it will also issue open work permits to workers in select, in-demand occupations. IRCC has also committed to becoming a more attractive destination digital nomads, foreign nationals who work remotely for an employer outside of Canada, and it will release more details surrounding a dedicated pathway for these workers. Currently, digital nomads don't need a work permit as they may arrive on a temporary residence, visitor, visa and stay in Canada for up to 6 months. More details may be forthcoming regarding how digital nomads who get a job in Canada can transition to a Canadian work permit. Study in Canada, what we know. Know about IRCC's proposed Trusted Institutions Framework. CIC News has obtained more details on IRCC's proposal to introduce a Trusted Institutions Framework for Canadian colleges and universities in 2024. As reported by ICEF, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, is exploring introducing a two-tier model for study permit issuance as a means of strengthening the integrity of Canada's international student program. Designated Learning Institutions, DLIs, who meet IRC's Trusted Institutions Framework criteria would benefit from faster study permit processing for international students admitted to their institutions. DLIs are the colleges, universities, and other educational institutions authorized by Canada's provincial and territorial governments to admit international students. What will Canada's Trusted Institutions Framework look like? ICEF notes that details remain scarce as IRCC has chosen to hold discussions on the proposal behind closed doors, but that IRCC has been clear on the rationale behind the framework, which is to assess DLIs against criteria that demonstrates that they are reliable partners with regard to sustainable intake, identifying genuine students, monitoring and reporting on their compliance, and providing a safe and enriching experience for their international students. CIC News is able to complement such reporting by sharing the contents of the proposed indicators that IRCC is exploring using to assess DLIs. Under the proposal, DLIs would need to report certain data back to IRCC to earn consideration as a trusted institution. The proposed DLI held indicators include retention rates, the percentage of international students in a multi-year program of study who remain in their original program after their first year in Canada. On-time program completion rate, percentage of international students who complete their program within the advertised length of study, i.e., complete a 4-year bachelor's degree in 4 years or less. Percentage of revenue from international tuition, percentage of a DLI's total tuition revenue that is derived from international student tuition. Scholarships awarded to international students from less developed countries, the dollar value and percentage of total scholarships and grants provided to international students originating from countries on the UN Least Developed Countries list. Funding for international student supports, the value of targeted supports for international students per international student and as a percentage of average international student tuition. Supports may include mental health services, career and employment counseling, and immigration counseling. Availability of DLI-administered housing for international students, total number and percentage of international students living in housing administered by their institution. Teacher-student ratio, average teacher-student ratio for the 10 courses with the highest numeric enrollment of international students. ICEF explains the other source of data will come from the Canadian government itself, such as study permit approval rates, country of origin, and post-graduation student outcomes, such as transitioning to another visa like the Post-Graduation Work Permit, PGWP. In addition, it notes that IRCC intends to begin collecting and analyzing data from all DLIs in the coming months, and establish the initial list of trusted institutions in spring 2024. Immigration Minister, Canada on track to host some 900,000 international students this year. Canada remains one of the world's top destinations for international students, largely due to the high quality of education, relative affordability, ability to work while studying and the opportunity for immigration to Canada post-graduation. The number of international students in Canada has been growing tremendously. In 2022, IRCC welcomed a record 551,405 international students from 184 countries. Further, as of December 31, 2022, there were 807,750 international students in Canada holding valid study permits, which was also a record-breaking number. In comparison, in 2019, there were 637,860 international students in Canada and a total of 400,600 new study permits were issued. Canada now has nearly 170,000 more international students at the end of 2022 than in 2019. In 2022, the top 10 source countries of new international students coming to Canada were 1. India, 2. People's Republic of China, 3. Philippines, 4. France, 5. Nigeria, 6. Iran, 7. Republic of Korea, 8. Japan, 9. Mexico, 10. Brazil. Canada exploring other reforms to strengthen international student program integrity. Canada's Immigration Minister Mark Miller recently told the CBC the country is on track to host around 900,000 international students this year. This comes at a time when Canada is experiencing a housing crisis. According to the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corp., Canada needs to build 5.8 million new homes, including 2 million rental units, by 2023 in order to tackle housing affordability. In order to ease the pressure on the housing market, the federal government is considering capping the number of international students coming to Canada to study. The exploration of a cap on foreign student arrivals, in conjunction with the Trusted Institution Framework, are part of a suite of measures the federal government is exploring to enhance the benefits of Canada's international student program. While the Canadian government continues to highlight the economic and social benefits of welcoming international students, the significant increase of Canada's population has exacerbated challenges such as housing, fraud, employment, among other issues that international students have been negatively impacted by. That being said, Miller has avoided committing to the idea of a hard cap on the number of students entering Canada. Just putting a hard cap is not the only solution to this. Core to this is actually trying to figure out what the problem is we're trying to solve for. It isn't entirely housing, it's more appropriately the integrity of the system that was mushroomed, ballooned in the last couple of years, said Miller.
That is over today in video. Thanks for watching entire video. Hopefully information useful to you. See you later in next video.